And when he was exposed, the Baha'is could have easily um, turned him in, but it's like, no, we don't want to make the faith look bad.
Hmm.
And it's like, that was our community. Like, we only associated with Baha'is from, other towns and whatnot. And there's probably only three or four other Baha'is um, in that small town of Seward, Alaska, where we grew up. And so when accusations came out and they had all the Baha'is there and talking about the inappropriateness of my father, and he's like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay, like, what are you talking about? And we go in this big group, and all these women and young girls came up and accused him. And
For this conversation, we drove a few hours north of our house here, Robert and I did, and we took the ferry over the Puget Sound over to Vashon Island. And it was beautiful. We made a weekend of it. Great place to visit if you can. But we went there specifically to have a conversation with Jared Van Driessche because he was raised in a high control cult. He was also raised in a remote location out in Seward, Alaska. And his father was particularly horrific. So this is a conversation that you probably wouldn't want to play if you're not in quite the headspace to hear it, but also definitely don't want to play it in front of younger people. So it's not for them. So I kind of wanted to give that viewer discretion, disclaimer here because it is intense. However, I found this conversation actually moved the needle for me. It helped me appreciate, where I came from and progress that's been made. And I can also see that Jared, I found it very, very positive, and I know it's overused, but inspiring. The notion that he came from such a horrific place of misery, and there's certain words I'm trying not to use here because obvious reasons, but then was able to grow his life and not pass that trauma on down to the next generation, to his sons, and to find a path out of a high control situation from not only a father, but also a religion that was doing that to him. So I think you will find this as positive and uplifting ultimately as I did. So anyway, here we go. We rented a little bungalow and set up, and this is our conversation with Jared Van Driessche.
yeah, I mean, my whole fucking life is wrapped up into kind of my trauma and, with the Baha'i faith and my trauma with my upbringing with my father. I mean, when I say he was evil, like, I mean, he was absolutely evil because in the Baha'i faith, you're not allowed to drink and smoke. And so he was literally torturing me, torturing my brother, these other kids. I was a pretty sickly kid, so I wasn't potty trained until I was about 10 years old, maybe even a little bit older than that. And he used to, beat the fuck out of me and then make me eat my own shit. So even today, that has, like, I'm not somebody that loves eating. Like, I don't eat a lot of food at once.
Right.
It's like it's a whole thing. He used to force me to eat food in general at the table, and it would be a battle. And he would, slap me around and just like, no, this is dinner. You need to eat it. I made it for you. And it was just a battle of wills. And he did all that shit sober. Like, it was like, I'm like, I wish my father would have drank. He probably would have been a nicer fucking person.
And it's sometimes when that somebody's drinking, you can go, okay, that's not, or maybe it's unleashing something. They do have better controls usually. But
Yes.
if you're just sober and that's your
Yeah. Yeah.
A game,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, it's nuts. It's like, how do I explain it? Because it's so hard to explain the dynamic of how he was and the power structure that he had. But it's like, for example, we had this woman that was in I don't know, I can't remember if it was a marriage or a serious relationship, and it was very violent. And she was fearful of her life, of her boyfriend killing her. And so her family knew our family, and it's like, hey, can Ivan help this woman? And Ivan was like the biggest, a big barrel chested guy that was super confident. And he was like, fuck, she can come up here. He can try anything. I'll fucking kill him. And she came up, she lived with our family, became family to us. And so she had this great adoration for my father, And come to find out, the next relationship that her boyfriend slash husband had after her, he actually went to prison for murdering his next partner.
Ooh.
So she's like thankful to Ivan for,
Saving her.
helping her, saving her, and then he tries to fuck her later. Like, hey, we have a father-daughter relationship. Let's take this to the next level. And so you can imagine that mind fuck of living with somebody like that, and you're going to love this man for helping you out of that situation, but then he's trying to fuck you. And that is, to me,
I can't imagine. That's crazy.
that's pure evil.
Yeah.
That's pure evil.
Mhm. What do you think that's I mean, is that a psychopath there? Is that like, do you think it's, and I mean in the clinical sense, does he just not care?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not educated. What I think it is, I think he was a narcissist, and he had these like grandiose ways of showing love. Like, I was always told that I was loved. He always hugged me. He always told me I could do anything with my life, but yet you're beating the fuck out of me, and you're creating this torturous environment. And so it's like words are very hollow to me. And I think that, I asked my mother, and I'm like, did Dad ever love me? And she's like, yeah, he loved you. And it's like, I've been processing that. I think he loved me because he loved himself, and I was a possession of his, right? I was an extension of his.
Yeah.
This is my son, as in, this is me, and I own you, and I control him. And so I think he loved me because I was him, an extension of him. Maybe didn't love me for me, if that makes any sense. I don't know.
I think so. And do you think that's maybe part of where all the abuse come from? I'm going to beat all the things out of him that I don't want reflected from me.
Yeah, it was
Like just you said the issue with potty training. It's obviously because of the abuse. He's making it worse. Or causing it.
It's like, even the other night, I cooked steak, and my wife knows. It's like I'm eating steak, and she's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Hey, it's just hard for me to swallow this food. It's like too big, it's too much." And I eat like, normally I'll eat like a fucking trash panda. It'll be like something sweet, like I love dessert, because eating food has not been an enjoyable thing for the formative years of my life. So I'm like, if I can have something sweet, or ice cream, like I could eat ice cream all day long. Like,
I
if
wasn't associated with that kind of experience.
yes,
At the dinner
yes,
table. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Oh wow.
mental health challenges, that's been a battle for me. So if I'm going through a dark period, it'll be like I'll have a pint of ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and my wife's like, "Oh, I know that my husband is feeling it now, because all you do is eating ice cream." But it's crazy. It's crazy, these things, and like analyzing your life and looking at why you do things, and it's been such a trip for me, and an eye-opening experience, and I'm trying to break these cycles of abuse. I'm trying to like break the chain.
That's amazing because you see that generationally happen so much of the time, but then I'm also seeing a lot in recent history. And I don't know if this is something in our culture that's shifting, where the next generation goes, "No, I don't want to be that."
Yeah.
Instead of just, "Well, that's what we do."
Yeah, I do think that. I also think that a lot of people don't do it the way that I'm doing it, in the sense that they're very scared of social, I guess, recourse on exposing family secrets or talking about things that are unpleasant. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I will share the truth. I hate it when people say, "Oh, it's my truth." There's no my truth. It's
Facts.
facts. It's the truth. Um, and so that's that's hard, and I'm kind of an intense person, and so is my brother Andre, and we can be a lot for a lot of people, because I don't have the social norms of what is appropriate and how you should interact with people, because I've had to learn that in my adult life. I didn't have that growing up. So it's like, I can talk to anybody. You're not going to embarrass me ever. Like, my growing up was a fucking embarrassment, because being the son of Ivan and living in a small town and being like, "Oh my God, who are these Baha'is? And who the fuck is this Ivan guy? And what is going on? And that's some weird shit over there." And so it was like having a scarlet letter, like wearing that everywhere. It was embarrassing. It was soul crushing, to use a term I don't believe in, the soul, but yeah.
That's interesting. There's a much more because to be clear, my parents, neither of my parents were ever this kind of abusive at
Yeah.
all. So I don't fully understand that experience, but it there's something that Jehovah's Witnesses, that Mormons, all I even read Leah Remini's book on Scientology. They seem to do this to kids in particular. The adults will make sure the kids are outcasts at school. Then it's the world against us. So we would just have different things where we had a bunch of different rules that didn't apply to any other students at school. Um, but I imagine with being in Baha'i, that already is a layer of making you look different. But then maybe your dad probably tried to make you look even more different and
Yeah.
strange to other
Yeah.
kids so that you'd be isolated.
Yeah, and he got off on shock value.
Oh dear.
That was his thing.
Jeez.
When I was in the second grade, we grew up in a like a really different way of growing up. Like, we killed animals, we ate animals all the time. He loved to eat all kinds of different animals. I was learning from, uh, kind of a father figure that I grew up with, which was our next door neighbor, who took me hunting and fishing and all the things outdoors that I appreciate. He was like, "Yeah, I used to, like, kill a coyote, and he would, like, cook it up for you guys, and you guys are eating, a coyote, and it's." And
Yeah.
I ate my own shit. So, what is coyote meat? I'm sure nothing.
Yeah.
But in the second grade, we would, butcher rabbits, and I went to school with a boiled rabbit's head as my school lunch.
Uh,
And he thought that was so fucking awesome.
Somehow, like, did he think it was just like a kick-ass thing to do, or was it also I want to make sure my kid is ostracized at
I
school?
don't know. I think he just got off on being a freak in that way. And so I'm there,
What
and
a weirdo.
you don't know what's different.
No.
You're growing up, so I'm cracking the rabbit's head open. I'm sucking the brain out. I'm eating the tongue, and the teacher's like, "Jared, you need to sit over there." And being, what are you, 7? I think 7. That's like you're like, "Oh shit!" Like, that, like, destroyed me. And then, of course, I'm having birthday parties. Nobody's coming over to my birthday, and, like, why? You don't know it. It's like, I know what that's like as a parent now, where my sons will be friends with, their friends, and sometimes you don't like their parents. And so you're like, I don't really want to associate, I don't want to, like, have sleepovers or do anything. I never had that shit, really, because it was like, I'm bringing rabbit heads to school. My sister, our neighbor, killed a moose, because that's, how we would eat food or eat meat. You hunt up there, which is, kind of foreign to people down in what we call the lower 48, of
Right.
having that lifestyle. But she brought moose testicles to her show and tell at school. It was just kind of like, oh, these are the Van Driesches. They're fucking crazy, but, like, nobody in that town would have wanted to date me. It was really hard to have any sort of relationships with people that were of the opposite sex. So
Yeah.
it was crazy.
That is.
And then all the, like, no premarital sex, no drinking, like, praying all the time, fasting, all the kind of tenets of the Baha'i faith.
Mhm.
And like I said, it has a great lacquer and shine to it, because it's all these people from different parts of the world and different socioeconomical backgrounds and different, creeds and colors. And you're like, wow, this beautiful, worldly religion. But then
Mhm.
there's just dirty shit here. And when he was exposed, the Baha'is could have easily um, turned him in, but it's like, no, we don't want to make the faith look bad.
Mhm.
And it's like, that was our community. Like, we only associated with Baha'is from, other towns and whatnot. And there's probably only 3 or 4 other Baha'is um, in that small town of Seward, Alaska, where we grew up. And so when accusations came out, and they had all the Baha'is there and talking about the inappropriateness of my father, and he knew it was coming. He's like, I'm gonna admit to their little game. He told me beforehand. I was in high school. And he's like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay, like, what are you talking about? And we go in this big group, and all these women and young girls came up and accused him.
So this was in a central location at one time.
Yes, yes.
They all,
Yeah. And he couldn't like shuck and jive. And they took his Baha'i voting rights away. They took all the Baha'i um, women and girls that were living at our house, took them away, but the boys stayed. It's like, no, he should have fucking gone to prison. You should have talked to the district attorney.
why
You
do you
should
think they weren't reporting?
because of how that would look to the faith, right? We do
See,
this world religion, all this peace and kumbaya bullshit, but yet when you can actually evoke change, it's like, yeah, listen, when I was 16 or however old I was at that point, I probably would not have wanted my family to break up. But if I look back at it now in my 40s, they should have. They should have fucking broke that whole family up. They should have had him in prison. My mom should have divorced him, but
she didn't, huh?
she didn't. No, no, she did not. I think she was very loyal to him, and I think that she also had what do I call? What is it? The term is escaping me.
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. Yes, like where you kind of side with your captors a little bit. Like he was 13 years older than her, very wise, very charismatic. He could say all the right things. And so after all the accusations came out and they pulled the women and girls that were staying at our home, he went into spin alley like immediately. Like, oh, that was bullshit. That was a witch hunt. Everything. And
Pretending he never did it.
oh yeah,
He was just playing by their rules
yeah.
or something.
And I knew in my heart that it was true, but I was a child. I was 16.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've learned in therapy is, a child that is experiencing trauma, like if they're getting raped, they're getting beaten, they're getting tortured, they will tolerate anything other than abandonment from their parents, because humans need
right.
Something to look. They need a protector. They need
Right.
they need a family.
Can't do without that.
No, they can't. So they will tolerate anything. But looking back, he should have gone to prison. He should have. He should have. That whole thing should have broken up. But it didn't, and it continued on, and he still had Baha'i boys there, and he still did his things. And then when I was in how many years ago? I can't remember how many years ago, but I had one of our sisters, like a foster sister, that left in mysterious circumstances when she was 13. And she messaged me on Facebook, and she sent like a photo of our whole family. And I was like, what happened to you? Like, like, she's like, I love you guys still. And she's like, well, your father raped me when I was 13 and I had to escape. And then at that point, hearing it so many years later as an adult, I'm like, fuck it.
He did all this stuff.
You did all this shit,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to let you, shirk responsibility. And so that was hard because I have brothers and sisters, and they have different relationships with my father, and but I was the first one of our siblings to go, fuck you.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah, this is wrong.
I think you'll see. This is one of the things that we've seen here is that there's a constant theme among high control groups, cults, and specifically high control ones. And I'm of the same mind as you. All religions are a cult. But I heard you say that somewhere, and I thought, yeah, I feel you there. Not everybody agrees on that, but with high control religions, they all follow the same thing, and they think that they're special.
Yes.
And they're better than every other one. And the same thing, when you said that a bit ago, the reason they didn't report is it makes the Baha'i faith look bad. And they have a similar expression for Jehovah's Witnesses. It's called giving Jehovah a bad name.
Yeah.
and
Do
so
they know
they
that
do
Jehovah
report
is a dumb
sometimes.
name? Like
Yeah,
Jehovah just sounds
it's
dumb
already a
anyways?
bad name,
Yes.
buddy.
Yes.
This is my cat, Jehovah.
Yes.
That doesn't flow.
Yes, exactly.
It's so I guess my point being is that people aren't building new wheels here.
Mhm.
This is the same freaking thing in a different flavor.
Yeah.
And I see that, and I think that that's kind of a thing that we kind of try to point out is that that there is nothing special about these, and that kind of makes it easier for some people who are already in to start seeing those patterns and other beliefs like your
Yeah.
former one. We
Yeah.
go, oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
this isn't
and I think like
unique.
you, that was something you were born into, right? You were
Yeah,
born into
yeah, and you were
Jehovah's
too, of
Witness. I
course.
was
Yeah,
born into the Baha'i faith.
yeah,
So it's like you don't know anything. And then they're telling you stories about the history of what happened, and you're like, okay, like
all right.
mom and dad are telling me this, and then
Well, that's exactly your mom and dad tell you that the stove is hot. They
yeah,
tell you that that you drink the expired milk. You're relying on them for important information, and so
yeah,
the other stuff that you can't verify, you just got to go along with it.
yeah, you do. And it's so weird. It's like, my kids I have two sons, they're 10 and 6, and they ask about religion. And it's like, I don't want to poison the well of religion for them.
Yeah.
They're like, Dad, what about religion? I'm like, or they'll ask about Catholicism or Christianity, and I say,
Mhm.
well, these people believe this and these people believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, what do you believe? I'm like, well, Daddy doesn't really, you know,
Mm-hmm.
subscribe to any of that, but it's okay if you do, if you, find
That's
your
awesome.
thing, as long as it just does not become abusive or, uh, controlling. I don't know. I look at the Catholic Church. If the Catholic Church was just a business, let's say it was Nike,
Mm-hmm.
and their executives were fucking small boys, like that company
Yes.
would be bankrupt.
It'd be
But
done.
since we you do a little magic dust,
Mm-hmm.
we sprinkle that on there, and we talk about God, then they can survive.
It would have been busted
Yeah,
for a long
yeah,
time ago. Yeah, I think that's kind of a cool way to approach that. I mean, this is I've heard this said, and it's clearly tongue in cheek, but that religion is a little bit like circumcision. If you
mhm.
don't force it on them early, and you leave it to choose it later in life, most don't choose it.
Yes,
and
yes,
and it's obviously it's not the same thing. I think it was a comedian who said that sort of thing, but it is an interesting notion that when people are not, it is not something that we're born religious.
yeah,
We're born wondering about
yeah,
things, but yeah. And when yeah, I do appreciate though that so many people, the groups on like subreddits for Baha'i, for Mormonism, for Jehovah's Witness, the X community, XMO community,
yeah.
XJW, they're all just exploding
Oh yeah. I
because
mean,
people are just like, no, this is bullshit. I'm not doing this.
yeah, like if I were to teach you about the Baha'i faith, and I would say, yeah, equality of men and women, all this, you'd be like, wow, this sounds
Right.
fucking amazing. And then you look at it with, a little bit closer. And so they have the local spiritual assembly, the NSA, the National Spiritual Assembly, and then like the top of the Baha'i faith is what they call the Universal House of Justice. Sounds really great.
Wow.
And it's 9 men.
Universal, huh?
Yes, it's 9 men, and women aren't allowed to be part of the
Interesting.
Universal House of
So it's
Justice.
not just this quadrant of this galaxy; it's all galaxies
Oh,
everywhere.
oh yes,
Interesting.
and it's funny, they accept gay people,
Oh, okay.
um, but you can't. You have to be celibate. Like you
Oh,
can't do gay shit.
oh.
So it's like asking a
Well, that's
fish.
hands down the best part of being gay.
Yeah, is it? Yes. I mean, ultimately, but that's just so sad to me because we
Yeah.
grew up with a lot of gay Baha'is, and it was like this. No, I'm fighting it. Like,
Same. There would
like,
be you knew who the guys were in our congregation, and you're like, yep, and he's just celibate,
yeah,
and he feels like trash every day for being attracted to other men.
yeah,
Can't have a nice, and these are people that would get married and just have lovely little
sure,
lives. But
sure,
oh no, that's entirely inappropriate. We
yeah.
can't possibly.
It's like
It's unclean.
asking a fish not to swim. Like, what are you doing?
Let me just go ahead and make 10%. I think it's 8 to 10% of all people gay, and then condemn it and say, and then in your holy book it says that they'll be stoned to death if they act on it.
Oh yeah.
What?
I mean, and I love the arguments when I hear from religious people. They're like, well, gay is a choice. Like, do you know gay people? Do you know like somebody? You think somebody would choose to be ostracized and choose to like have people mock them and fuck with them and have hate crimes against them and
Yeah.
like why would somebody willingly choose that?
It's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to be very, very grateful because a lot of people that came before me and before Robert paved the way to make it
Yeah.
much nicer. 90% of this country, you can drive around and we can hold or walk around and hold hands and you're fine.
Yeah.
But there's the 1950s.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you could be arrested for that if you checked into a hotel room with your significant other.
Oh yeah.
Ugh,
I love it. Like there's I don't know, it's totally off topic, but I
yeah.
just think it's funny what you have like anytime there's a Republican convention somewhere, like fucking grinder crashes.
Yes, I
They're
know.
all trying to,
It's like, whoa.
yeah.
If the Catholic convention's in town,
Yes,
ooh,
yeah.
there's a lot of priests, a lot of
Yes.
guys in dresses, kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I would. You said you do therapy. I guess that's kind of the question because you started out in such a really rotten place, starting your adult life, leaving that behind. I understand you left kind of right out of high school, left home, and just moved forward. How did you carve a path into having, a nice happy family life, and and a profession, and just like did you walk around with that all the time? It's just yeah. Tell me
Well,
about that
it's
story.
like some of the stuff you just don't realize, and it was just like, okay, that's that. My dad's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I started to like get control of the potty training thing when I was like 10 and 11, and that's probably solely based on meeting my wife when she moved from Southern California to Seward, Alaska when we were in the fifth grade. And she was like a little brown girl and she didn't grow up in that town. And she had like, she has today still, but like a heart of gold. And she was so kind to me. And I never had, somebody from the opposite sex be that kind to me. And she's fucking gorgeous.
Just a sweetie right out
Yeah,
of the.
like if I had to like design my dream girl on the fucking computer
Yeah.
like they did in Weird
That's
Science,
it.
it
Yeah,
would be
weird
my
science. I was trying
wife
to think of
essentially.
it.
And I was like the best friend that could stay over and everything. I wasn't, sexually active.
Yeah.
I had all that religious shit,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that cult shit. So she saved my life, and when I was 15, I think I was reading a magazine. It was like Black Belt magazine, and they had an article about executive protection and a bodyguard school, and I was like, "This is what I want to do."
When you're 15.
When I was
Oh
15,
wow.
and if I look at it, if I psychoanalyze myself, I think I wasn't protected as a kid, and so I wanted to do something where I protect other people, and that was a wild fucking decision to make at 15.
Yeah.
Everybody, so many people in that small town mocked me, made fun of me, like, "Oh, okay, this is one of those Van Driessche kids. Let's see, like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. He's a liar like his dad. He's a piece of shit like his dad."
Oof.
Um, and so I had this fire to succeed. And I remember a teacher laughed at me and were like mocking me when I
Can you
told them
imagine
what I
doing
wanted
that
to
to a
do.
kid now? It's insane.
Yeah, it's
What
totally
the
insane.
90s were just wild.
And
The
yeah,
80s and
yeah.
90s
Oh
were
yeah.
totally
Oh yeah.
wild.
So I just used my rage. Like the beautiful thing about
Yeah.
rage is it doesn't need sleep, it doesn't need food. It has a limitless supply. Like
Uh-huh.
if I'm ever struggling, I can just tap into rage.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also just one of the tools that I had. And I like swinging that rage hammer. But if you're going to do, fine carpentry, you need to figure out how to have
Yeah.
another tool. But
But it sounds like also that's a lot of sitting with it instead of running away from it,
yes,
which is what my therapist is always telling me when I
Yeah.
run into any issue. She's like,
Yeah.
"Let's sit with this. Let's not leave it or try to avoid it."
yeah. And I didn't
Kind of
even
harnessing it.
I didn't even realize it until my wife and I she got pregnant and I was like had this feeling like I don't want to have sons because I thought that would if I had a daughter it would bring out the softer side in me. And then I went fucking kind of crazy when we had our first son because he was colicky, he would cry all the time. I couldn't comfort him. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Like we brought this life into the world and then as my son is aging, I'm thinking about abuse and torture and things that happened to me at that age. And it just is, whoa, it's crazy. Like my son did something, and it's like my instinct is to like bash his head against the wall. I'm like, why are you thinking that? That's pretty fucked. And so trying to examine that. And uh, my wife is a mirror. Like she'll be so honest with me. And, there was a couple times she's like, you got to get this fucking anger and rage shit under control. I'm fucking done. And that kind of lit a fire under my ass to get, help and all of that, because I didn't want to be my father, married 3 times, you know, unfaithful to, probably every one of his
Oh, sure,
wives,
surely.
you know,
Yeah.
um, so I wanted something different. So it's like, hey man, I'll do the hard shit.
Yeah.
And so I'm in a men's group now. I have therapy 2 hours every week. I've been doing that for 2 years.
Hmm.
When my father died, I kind of had a crazy uh, meltdown episode, and I checked myself into the Meadows, which is a trauma center in Arizona, and they've been specializing in childhood trauma since the 80s. So that was kind of
Wow.
something that I needed to do.
Was that like a turning point of several days or weeks there or something? How
Yeah,
did
I
it go?
did like 7 days. It was like $10,000 or $12,000 for that. Um, because my wife was also like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, I'm done. I was like, well, I got to take some, I got to do something to get me out of this. She was very understanding, but also like, I'm not gonna allow our kids not to be safe.
Right. Set
You know,
some very clear boundaries
and
there.
I'm like, oh, a boundary. Holy shit,
Yeah.
never had that growing up.
Yeah.
So, um, and I had somebody that really, like a father figure. And have you ever heard of the term father hunger? Have you ever heard that before?
No, I'm kind of discerning what it might mean, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So, somebody that doesn't have a father, didn't have a great father like me, a horrible father, there's this void in my life where I'm always looking for male,
Right.
adult kind of father figures.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily I had one in the neighbor next door, and he was so wonderful for me, and did things that a father would have done or should have done.
Yeah.
And then I had drive and I had everything, and we haven't talked about it, but my brother and I are in the process of making a film about our life because it's so fucking crazy and different and unique, I think, and we want to help the world and help people by sharing our story. But I kind of took that trauma and I used it as fuel. And I think that for my brother, I love him so much, but it's been so hard for him. Um, he's also more of a gentle soul than I am. I'm kind of more of a prick.
He's a sweetie.
Yeah.
You're not a prick. No,
I
know.
I can absolutely be a prick. So, um,
I'm sorry to hear you're a prick. That sucks.
yeah. So, I had drive, and I think that the juxtapositioning of my brother's life and my life and how that abuse affected us differently would be very interesting in, film to see that.
Yeah.
And also a lot of like forgiveness and love for each other, because we're not painting ourselves as heroes in this film. It's like I expose dark shit about myself.
Right.
He exposes dark shit about himself, about how we've struggled and the trials and tribulations. But I think it'll be uplifting. I think it'll be very powerful. It's authentic because it's dark and gritty. And I think people are craving authenticity now because it's this
Yeah.
world where we all put filters on our fucking Instagram, and we do everything to, show the side that we want people to see. But
Yeah.
like, let's do some raw shit. Let's do some rugged shit.
Agree.
And I also want revenge, and I don't think that that's bad to say that either.
Yeah. Just exposing your father's story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can totally see that. That's interesting. My dad, to be honest, is a sweetie. He's a pussycat, but so it's not the same situation at all for me.
Sure.
But the cult was still damaging as a child, but not the same situation at all. So I don't have those feelings. But I
Yeah.
can, I can't imagine actually. But that must be intense drive to do that.
Yeah.
I think if I was reading correctly, it's called The Injured. Is that right?
That was the working title that we had before. We've gone through many different iterations. And so what we're calling it now is the monsters we make,
Oh,
because monsters are made,
I
right?
like that.
So my father was made, and we go into that a little bit.
Hmm.
He grew up and he was born in 1937 in Belgium. So all of World War II
Old
was
dad.
yeah, yeah.
Geez, you're 4 years younger than me, I believe, and your dad was born in 1930. What you said?
1937, yeah.
Yeah, 13 years before my dad.
Yeah. Well,
Jeez.
again,
Second.
we were the second
Yeah.
family, actually the third marriage, but the second family, and it was kind of
Gotcha.
like a price of admission to get this young 20-some-year-old beautiful woman in my mom. The price of admission was she wanted kids, and he didn't want kids. He already had another family, you
Yeah.
know. And so we were like okay, again, the price of admission. And so, he told me that.
Yeah.
He
We didn't
told
really
us
want
that.
you guys.
No.
Oof.
So
I think you and I are of the same thinking because I think you said your wife is about your age as well, right?
yeah, yeah,
And Robert is 2 years older than me, and I s- I just cannot imagine. I'm 45, wanting to be with somebody in their 20s.
yeah,
People in their 20s are lovely, but I really like a mirror, somebody that is on, just on my social level where I'm like, "Ah, yeah, we have the same experience." And then like you said, she mirrors back to you and you're
yeah.
equal in that way. I think that works better for me anyway.
Yeah, well, you don't want to rape and fuck children like my father did.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, there's a couple other key
yeah,
differences. Yeah.
yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
Um, so that sounds like you kind of it hit a point where you hadn't dealt with it enough, and then you went into the meadows for like 7 days,
Mhm.
and then continued with like therapy or something.
Yeah, I've done like different modalities of EMDR and MDR
Hmm.
and talk therapy and all that. I've taken some, depression meds,
Hmm.
some SSRIs. I'm not on any of that now.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was touch and go there. Like having such abuse and torture, like
Yeah.
very, very little self-worth. So suicidal ideology has always been something. I don't know if you know the difference between being suicidal and having suicidal ideology. Do you know the difference?
Tell us though. I'd like
Okay.
to know.
So from how I understand it, and I probably don't have totally correct, but like suicidal is where you're actually planning it. Like, okay, Tuesday I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and that's how I'm going to kill myself. I don't have that because I think uh, suicide is the pussy way out, if I'm being honest. And I know that's not politically correct, but I'm not politically correct. Um, but my death and my demise gives me comfort, like to not be in this world, to not um, be here anymore. It feels like a warm blanket,
Interesting.
like
Yeah.
like getting into a nice hot bath, like just not being here. Um, and obviously, I have a loving wife. I have two amazing children, and I want to be there for all of them. But it is a battle. It's like I feel like I'm warped or half baked or over baked, like this trauma and this pain and all this shit kind of formed me in this way where I feel like a unicorn, like I'm different.
Yeah.
So
Does that translate to even though wanting to be there for your family into a lack of fear of death?
yes,
Huh.
I'm super radical with that. And
That's a little
also,
bit of a superpower, but also must be a horrible thing to bear as
yeah,
well.
yeah. And I spent my whole life protecting people. And
Yeah.
when, I meet people that are, interested in this industry, like this is not something that I moonlight in. I don't like work the red carpet and protect a celebrity at a movie premiere, and I do that once every you know 7 months or something. Like I
And then go
have
back to
been,
bartending. Yeah.
yes,
No.
I have been protecting people for my whole adult life.
Yeah.
But if you break that down from a psychological aspect, it's like, oh, I didn't feel wanted. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel any of those things that people felt. So
Right. Right.
I need to get that dopamine hit by feeling worthy, by protecting others.
What a great way
And
to harness that.
yes,
What can be a very negative thing
yes,
to into doing something good, and that's amazing. Um, so if you're, I guess if you're talking to somebody who is watching this video and going, okay, I am in a bad relationship. I'm a bad thing with my father and my mother, or a partner, or I'm stuck in a religion and my everything. I'm just stuck in a high control situation where they're trying to compress me down and control me. Like, what do you what do you say to somebody that's in that position and wants out and is just fed up with it?
Yeah, I would say you got to lean into the bad shit and
Sit with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and not even sit with it, but it's like
Nice.
I always try to do the most difficult thing for me. Like if it's, you got Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder, like, no, you don't have to do this. You don't have to go on this podcast with Jason and bare your soul. I'm like, fuck it, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Like lean in because
Yeah.
life is short.
Do
It's
the
like,
hardest thing.
yeah, do the hardest thing that you can.
Yeah.
There's other people out there, like, I've done a few different podcasts, and obviously we're doing the film and everything. So already I've had people that I grew up with in the Baha'i faith that are like, "Oh my God, man, I wish I could say the shit that you're saying. I wish
Mhm.
I could do it. I'm just not there yet." And so I hate gurus. I don't want to be a guru.
Mhm.
That all that shit's gross to me. But if I can help somebody by telling my story, one person, then
Yeah.
I want to do that, and I want to shout it from the fucking mountaintop.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lean into the hardest thing. I think that I mean, when I was first leaving the organization and I did experience suicidal ideation, I was saying this the other day. I kept laying in my bed in my second story of my house and just like imagining how nice it would be to just to be under the surface of the ground.
Yes.
And not I didn't have any plans or anything, but it was just in the worst space. All my family had pushed me away, shunned me. All of my friends. I was going through divorce. I had nobody and nothing, and I was broke and 6 months behind on the mortgage. And it is a completely different experience here. This is no in no way. Hey, I'm on the same. No, but it was it was a moment where I'm like, oh, I'm right here, and I'd like to be there, way over there, higher up here in a better life. And I just started taking one step, one day at a time. But like by that I mean like when your entire house is rotting, it's just like, okay, we'll fix that stud today, and on Tuesday we'll fix the one next to it, and it's accumulative over the years. Just doing therapy and working on myself and just trying to rebuild in one little tiny chunk at a time.
Yeah, the thing that I would push back a little bit on what you say, because you said it a couple times where you're like, hey, it doesn't compare to you.
Mm.
The thing that I've also learned is you can't compare pain.
Yeah.
So, like, your worst day of your entire life is your worst day of your entire life. And it has the same effect on your brain and your body as my worst day of my life.
Interesting.
So,
I can see what you're saying there. Yeah.
because there's plenty of people that
Yeah.
have had shit
Just
worse
different.
than
Yeah.
me,
Mhm.
but it still has the same effect on your brain. Your worst day is your worst day.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. Point taken.
Yeah.
And side note, I sometimes think about this. Somewhere out there in the history of mankind is the person who's led the most miserable life on record. It's like, that's rough.
Yes.
At least I didn't hit that.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, there's not, you can't have like a pain Olympics.
No, you can't.
Like,
It's just, yeah. Yeah. It's everybody's different there. But I do like the way that you've approached the rebuild and harnessing, that anger energy and all it you put it into the creativity of your film.
mhm.
And it seems like you work like 6 days a week.
I work all the time. I mean, when you are in protection or security, like my phone is never
Go, go, go.
off.
Yeah.
It's always on. It's on right now, but
Mhm.
it's silent. But
Mhm.
if somebody calls me now, I will look at my watch and
Sure.
see who it is and be like, hey, I got to take this.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm always plugged in. And so is Andre. We're always listening to music. It's just, I need that distraction. I'm not the guy that wants to go out in the mountains somewhere and be away from my phone. Like I want to be connected.
Yeah.
It's helpful for me.
Mhm.
That's how my brain works.
That's cool.
So
Well, is there anything else you want to share? Because you're working on the film.
yeah,
And is there, how's that process going there?
it's going great. I mean, Andre and I have been, in this process of we're going to executive produce the film because we don't want anybody to bastardize our story.
Right.
We have amazing production company behind us. We have amazing writer director that's partnering with us to do this. And the thing that we've always said when we're creating this film, and it's going to be a like a drama. It's not going to be a documentary. It'll be like a scripted film based on our life and the way that we talk, the way that we are, unfiltered. And we've got some really talented people. And we've said from the beginning, like, I don't want any mercenaries with this fucking project. Like where we just find money and pay for somebody to do this film. I want people that fucking dig this story, that want to get the message out, because that's how you're gonna evoke some fucking change.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know what is it in Greek mythology, the guy that's pushing the rock up the mountain and keeps falling
Oh yeah,
back.
that guy.
Yeah, that's how I feel like it is making a film, but I also like doing hard things, so it's just a matter of time. It will happen.
Yeah,
So,
I fully, agree and believe that when you say that
mhm,
because of, where you said you were starting with going into protection work.
mhm.
And then people are like, "Nah, that's not gonna happen." And you're like, "No, you have a determination
Yeah,
and a motor," as Adam Carolla says. The guy's got a motor. It's gonna
yeah,
happen,
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and I'm stubborn as shit too, so there's there's that.
yeah,
Um, I don't, Jason, I don't know what the future holds with why, what comes after the film. I have no fucking idea. I
yeah,
just know that we need to share our story. We need to get it out there. Um, and I have no idea what's past that.
yeah,
But like my true north is like that signal is strong. I want people to know that there is a path outside of cults. There's a path outside of, abusive relationships. And you have to do it. I hate to be like, pull yourself from the boots, up by your bootstraps. But like, if you can't do that, call somebody.
yeah.
Fucking call me. You
You
know what I
did it with
mean?
the help
Yeah.
of your wife.
Yeah.
You rely on and build a new community because there's people
Yeah.
who want to help. And
Yeah.
that's what I found out shortly after
Yeah.
leaving my cult was, oh, there's other people out here. It's a shared
Yeah.
experience, and also people who haven't even had that
Yeah.
experience. One of my best friends, Mike, is he literally just was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll help you. He even watches this podcast. He's never been in a cult.
Yeah.
He's just a buddy.
Yeah.
And there are people who want to reach out and help. And
Yeah. And community, like humans thrive in community. They want community. We want to help people, and so like, ask for help. I know that's the tough thing for people to do, but like, go big or go home. Like, we have to.